internationally. Good to see them both playing in the team, and in fact, for one reason or another, they're now actually partnering each other. Robson originally partnered with Alexander Allfrey, and Forrester with David Gold. And the third partnership is Tom Townsend and David Bakshi. So West has entered, probably showing clubs on another, and then shown that his second suit is hearts. And Forrester continues with what appears to be a natural 2-no trumps on his 14 points. We can see that 3-no trumps can be made, setting up the Queen of Hearts as a ninth trick, because the diamonds are 4-4, and you just lose 1 heart and 3 diamonds, but not a particularly... Oh, wow, they've got to... Well, that's a good start.
Well, if they manage to get a couple of diamonds and then switch to spades while holding the King of Hearts, it's a little bit thinner.
Well, this is one of the hands where declarer must probably grab the ace of the suit that's led and set up his ninth trick in hearts to avoid losing too many tricks in spades and diamonds together. If he holds up in diamonds twice, holding up in diamonds twice would not be a good idea at all, because you might then get a spade switch. Probably wouldn't help you much in diamonds anyway, because if South had 5 diamonds, then well, they could switch to spades anyway. So we can expect that Forrester will take the ace of diamonds pretty early and run the clubs and try and then go for a ninth trick in hearts. So it's been double 2. 2 clubs showed clubs and a major, in fact. Well, he's ducked once, so now if they switch to spades, he goes down, it seems. Unless he can end play north to lead away from the King of Hearts. Yes, in fact,
it's tremendously difficult to find a switch as responder, but now this is, well, the rule of 7 works, huh?
yes, I was going to make that point, that even when a switch would break the contract, it often does seem to happen at the table that it's too difficult to find, and the defenders will continue with the suit first led. I mean, if North had had only 3 diamonds, he might then see that it was a waste of time to continue diamonds, and he might then switch to spades, but as it happens, they were 4-4, so he could see that it was worth clearing the diamond suit. But now Forrester will be able to clear a ninth trick for himself, getting the match off to a good start. Now, England need very few victory points to make certain of qualifying, and there may be some advantage of trying to win this match well, because it's in fact all the teams in the positions 5 through 8 are pretty close to 4th place. There are some sort of advantages in being in the top 4 at the end, because they choose their opponents, but if you're just in 4th place, you get the last choice. The team coming first will get the best choice. So you don't end up doing much better than you would do if you were in one of the positions 5 through 8, unless you think that the really strong teams are going to pick you if you end in those positions. But anyway, a team such as England will be pretty pleased to finish in the top 8 at all. They'll have done well.
Back to this defensive problem, it happens a lot, very regularly, and North on the second diamond, assuming they lead 4th best, knows that they're getting at most 3 diamond tricks, and that gives the player 8 tricks, assuming they have ace of spades. If they don't have ace of spades, then anything will work. But looking at this heart holding, it really calls for a switch.
Yeah, this is a top German pair, and he had a chance to do that, and also Forrester had a chance to not to hold up the ace of diamonds twice. Of course, he's an immensely experienced declarer, so he is weighing up the odds of not getting a switch with the odds of South holding 5 diamonds, so it's a close decision. If they were leading 4th best and the 5 of diamonds comes, then if he also holds the 4, he's got a 5-card suit, and declarer has no hope at all unless he does hold up. So nobody knows where that 4 of diamonds is, and can't say it's a mistake by Forrester, because it's worked out absolutely fine when North didn't find the switch. But as I pointed out, I think he might have found the switch even with a 4-4 diamonds, and if he had only 3 diamonds, he would surely work out that a diamond continuation was no good. So in the case where diamonds were 5-3, North might well have switched, and therefore Forrester had a close decision whether to hold up in diamonds. At the other table, they've stopped in 1 no trump, so there will be a big swing here if the contract is made, as we certainly expect it should be. Even though South has doubled, I mean, most of the points lie with North. Yeah, there we go. And it wasn't even a guess. He did lead the 10, but don't expect he was going to run it. So I said at the start that England were almost certain to end in the top 8, but nevertheless that will settle any nerves that players might have had at this table, at least. Of course, they don't know about this score at the other table. But what could be better than putting a solid, whatever it was, 550, 650 on your card? For any England supporters who are watching this game, I can say that the England women are making hard work of qualifying. They're in 8th position, which is on the borderline, and they're having to play France, long-term rivals, a very strong team, who in fact are surprisingly only 7th in the rankings, in the final match. And there are teams lurking below. Fortunately, I think I saw it was Japan who were 9th, and they are 12 VPs back. So that's quite a margin, but if either France or England lose that match heavily, and Japan do okay, it's possible that they can lose their qualification spot. So as it's panned out, both the Open and the Women's Division, the position is much less exciting than you would normally get, with quite a big gap forming below the top 8, and only just one or two possibilities that the qualifiers can change, unless there's some freak 20-0 score with another team doing very badly. One heart is a transfer to spades, and the double would be a takeout for the red suits.
So both East-West and North-South are playing a fairly modern short club natural system, but in East-West's one diamond would promise 5+. So one club so far has only promised a singleton. Perhaps we will see the 4 hearts to 4 spades transfer here.
East would have bid 1 spade over the double if he had 3 card support. So Robson knows he's facing at best a doubleton spade. He's got an interesting bidding decision here. He's got 6 spades, and he's also got a possible double fit in clubs as well, if Forrester does have some help from in spades. So his hand is a bit too good to just bid 2 spades. Be interesting to see what he does now.
For me, I would bid a simple 3 clubs, showing spades and clubs, but who knows.
Yes, I don't know if he'll regard that as a strong enough bid though on that hand, because if there's any sort of spade fit, he may be in with a chance. Change that ace of hearts in Forrester's hand into the king of diamonds, say, and it would be looking good for a game. Yes, he has bid 3 clubs. There we go.
I think as the cards lie, 4 spades is makeable, even with 2 top diamond cashers.
Yes, if they play 5 clubs, then the defenders will have to cash their diamonds. Otherwise, one will go on the ace of hearts. Right, now, if this runs back to West, he can try 4 spades now, having already shown the club support. And his spade suit will be limited by the fact that he bid clubs in the first place. So Forrester has avoided doubling 4 hearts. And
Which I think also makes.
Yes, indeed, it does make, but there's no way that Robson will allow this to play when it's not doubled. He's bid 4 spades as expected, and Forrester will be happy to leave that, surely, even though it's doubled. He knows his ace-10 is over the double. Absolutely no reason to go back to clubs, I suggest now. He just has to pass, and England can pick up 2 doubled games on the first 2 boards. Of course, he does have 5 clubs, and he might have had only 2 to start with, but on the other hand, I think he's got pretty fair spade support. He has passed. Oh, well.
In the context of the auction, he can't really have much more. He opened, non-vulnerable against vulnerable, and he's got 3 aces, and he doesn't have a singleton spade.
Exactly, and he denied 3 spades with his when he didn't make a support redouble on the second round. So that's well judged, and this could be a marvellous start.
I think the best bit of the whole sequence was actually East's pass over 4 hearts. I mean, it's so tempting to hit it. You got three aces, but it tells the opponent, and it gives up so much information about the auction for very little gain.
Yeah. Another reason why a double would be bad by East is that North has jumped from 2 hearts to 4 hearts. It's not that they've bid it sort of in some strangled fashion. North has shown a very, very good hand. His partner doubles, and North has doubled and heard a heart bid. That shows something. He could just have passed, really, if he wasn't that interested. So 4 hearts thing means he thinks he can make it, and Forrester's got no reason to think he can't. North knows he's missing 3 aces, so a double would be a bad bid. But nevertheless, you can be sure that in the club game there would be some players who would say, well, my partner's made 2 bids, I've got 3 aces, I'll double them. Of course, having 5 clubs as well is not helpful in defence, because that means there's less chance that 2 rounds of clubs are going to stand up to give the defence a 4th trick. So East's defence is very, very limited. North could have had a void club even, and it's obviously got strong values in the red suits, the north-south, and east-west to hold most of the stuff in the black suits. So at the other table on the board we've just seen, board 2, it went 1-no trump from East, pass 4 spades on the black 2 suitor, double, redouble, and South now bid 5 hearts, which is the best he could do. That was a good decision, because 4 spades redoubled would have been made. And West went on to 5 spades. Well, we can't really blame him on that 2 suitor. So they ended up with a bad board, and I can't see any fault in the Germany East-West bidding. Basically, that auction seems fairly well judged all round.
East may be slightly tempted to act here. He does have shortness in the opponent's preempt, but very far from ideal high card points or shape. So maybe it's best to just pass.
Yes, for a light double you'd certainly want to have something better than that in hearts. It's true though that North would often raise spades, however strong he was, if he had some spade length there. So the double might work out okay if partner had even more of a trump stack than he does. But it would be an irresponsible bid and could end in disaster. So I think the pass is normal and well judged.
I agree.
So at this very early stage, England have moved up to 5th and indeed are only 0.3 victory points below 4th. But once you start with a 23-0, you have to work very hard indeed to get any extra victory points, because the table has it so that the victory points are spaced much further apart when you get away from the narrow wins into the big win territory. And so we can't, will be very difficult for them to end in fourth. And coming into the tournament, I myself would have been, well, first of all, very, very happy to see England playing in the Bermuda Bowl at all, because the qualifying is so difficult if you happen to be a European country. And certainly once they got through into the top 22, I wasn't necessarily expecting them to get in the top 8 when you think how many really sort of brilliant teams there are. The 2 USA teams, of course, and the Netherlands, Italy, and all the usual suspects up the top. So that Monaco, of course, nowadays, who take one of the European spots, adding further pressure on the authorities to grant Europe a few more places than the pitiful number they get already.
So de Cler is not going to be too bothered about his under tricks, non-vulnerable, but not delighted about this particular layout either. Note that this is quite a good play to play up to your King Jack and not to cash it. Although if they rough, they'll get a natural, well, they'll be roughing a natural trump trick. But still, generally, it's good practice to play out through the possible shorthand, just in case they want to rough your loser.
East-West do have a playable game in clubs, but with the 3-0 break-off side, looks like they're going to lose a trump and 2 aces if they manage to get into it, so they'll be happy to go plus. 3 no trumps is also possible if there's a misdefense, but no, that's not such a good game as 5 clubs.
This is another pickup for England here, going plus at both tables. The other table played in 2 spades. And 2 spades is perhaps easier to make. You can play a low spade to the jack.
Yes, South open 2 spades. Well, that is pretty surprising. I mean, it's non-vulnerable. That's a massive hand. In shape, don't need very much. You could easily make 4 spades opposite, say, a doubleton spade, and some decent cards in diamonds. But anyway, East didn't protect even against 2 spades.
I think against 2 it's a lot closer, and perhaps worth a little bit of action.
Yes, again you would be nervous of doubling, because if partner does bid hearts, you can't think of bidding again on a minimum double. And to compete with 3 clubs, well, maybe okay. Yeah, so it was tricky for both Easts to decide whether they should bid again. And the decision to open 2 spades rather than 3, I can't say that that was a better bid rather than 3 spades here, because de Cler did have very good playing strength, particularly for a non-vulnerable preempt with a side 5-card diamond suit. So, oh, I see. Yeah, Peter Crouch tells me that at the other table they used the multi on a bad week too. So 2 spades showed, in fact, 9 to 12 points. So it was a good description. And I hear that GABSI is back playing with Townsend. Now that was the partnership that entered the event. Forrester Gold, all 3 Robson, and GABSI Townsend, who in fact had a very good Butler score of 0.7 imps per board. Last time I looked, a day and a half ago, so they were our strongest pair in the early stages. Robson's one diamond is a transfer, showing hearts. Forrester has gone straight to 4 hearts.
So with this mirror shape, there is no long tricks coming, and so there's a sure spade loser, a sure diamond loser, and so you need to play the club suit carefully for only one loser. And it looks like the one that he will play for, and it works, is to low to the Jack-9, covering whatever South plays.
Yes, that's right. There's no possible assistance in an elimination play here. With clubs being 4-4, you just need a very fortunate position of some sort. If you lead low towards dummy and South wins with the king, you have to guess if he had King-Queen doubleton or King-10 doubleton. And by restricted choice, he's more likely to have Queen-10 or King-10 than King-Queen doubleton. So the odds are that you should lead the Jack to catch the Queen and pin the 10.
How does the logic work? So with King-Queen doubleton, he could play either the king or the queen, but with either King-10 or Queen-10, they're forced to go to fly. So I think it's percentage to play the Jack.
Yes, well, I mean, it's just a basic example of restricted choice, and some people go through their entire bridge career not agreeing with it, because they say, well, once he plays the king, he can't have Queen-10 doubleton, so it must be 50-50. And I once exchanged about...
I'm very happy to play against such players.
Exactly, and it's infuriating to try to keep on explaining restricted choice to someone who doesn't accept it. I once exchanged about 20 emails with some correspondent from Argentina, and I was just on the point of him accepting when he sort of just failed me at the last minute and said, but of course it would be different if South had played the Queen, and I thought, oh, right, I'm giving up now. I mean, the easy way to see it is that you just look at the combinations South can hold. If he holds King-10 or Queen-10, the pin's going to work. If he holds King-Queen doubleton, playing for the drop's going to work. So it's 2-1 in favour of playing for honour 10, regardless of which honour South wins with. It's just as easy as that. That's the way to convince yourself if you're not certain that there's any sense in the restricted choice arguments. I mean, I once heard there was quite a well-known New Zealand international who went through his whole career not accepting restricted choice. So he was at the wrong end of 2-1 odds throughout his whole career. When I mentioned this to Terence Rees, he said, "Oh, how hopeless! You know, I wish I'd been playing against him."
Know that playing a low club up also wins against 10 doubleton, because you can then take the hook, the finesse to north, crushing the 10 on the second round.
Yes, indeed. Very good point.
North is wisely not playing a spade here, which gives up the count. And then also South did play the 10 instead of the king, because if he does play the king, then there's only one way for declarer to play the suit. So lots of interesting mind games here, and good technique.
But isn't it true, if North has got King 8 left, he's got a certain trick, so you're not on a guess, are you? Once the 10, it goes 10 Jack Queen?
Good point. Then the 10 will come back, and you just wait for his club trick. Good point.
England have gone marginally into 4th place now, but it's only a question of one changing hands, so there we go. And in fact, there's not that much difference between being 4th or 5th. Well, I suppose there is, because at least you can't be chosen by one of the really crack teams at the top.
I think there's always some debate about whether it's better to be in 5th spot or 4th spot. If you think you're, say, the best of the remaining team, because say a very good team happens to be in 5 to 8, well, if you're in the 4th spot, that's not a good place to be.
Right. Meanwhile, I took my eye off the ball. How did he go down in 4 hearts?
Guess wrong.
I thought we agreed there wasn't any guess. I'll have to play it through.
It's possible that declarer thought if they didn't play their spade, letting dummy rough, then they actually had all 3 clubs remaining, and that the only way to make it was to then take another finesse. But I don't think if North has King 8 that there's any win to ducking there.
Right. Well, I can see I've just played it through now, and you know, although we were saying the only chance of making it is to find South with King 10 or Queen 10, and in fact that was the position. That's not a very likely lie of the cards, and Forrester thought it was a better decision to exit in spades and hope that they would help him by playing a club. So North correctly diagnosed that it was safe to give a rough and discard and returned a diamond. Didn't help him, and now Forrester was sunk, I think, because he hadn't made an early play in clubs, and North would have a spare winner to take. The defenders would have a spare winner to take when they got in.
Yeah,
Anyway, basically. Yes, it seems that South's excellent defence in not going in with the king was the cause of the swing. Plus, at the other table, I've mentioned many times that the records of these matches, BBO records, are saved away on the internet. There's one BBO depository, and there's also a very fine site hosted by Nikos Sarantakos, which has got BBO records from championships going back many years. And anytime you've got a spare hour, you can just log on there or on the BBO site and look at the records of these matches. So a hand such as the one we just saw was seemingly more complicated than I had assumed. I took perhaps too simple a view of the club suit, and that's a deal that I will be going back to look at in future to try and make up my mind what the situation was. One of the reasons why England was pretty safe from dropping out of the top 8 is because the two teams, Japan and Poland, who are among the contenders, are playing each other. And in fact, I just had a look at the table, and the team in 9th place is now USA 2, who had some chance actually of getting into the top 8, because they had a very light schedule of opponents in their last 4 or 5 matches. But they are something like 18 VPs behind England. They're now in 9th place. And Japan, who played very strongly at the start, they had a very tough schedule. And they're sort of falling away a bit, although they were one of the teams that had a chance of getting into the top 8 when the day started.
So Declare managed to go down here and had to work pretty hard to do it. I think a fairly simple play in the trump suit would have been king and a small straight up, covering whatever West played. Caters for 4-1 splits, although there is a chance of being tapped out in hearts.
Well, now South has opened. We may find that North is going to insist on a game contract. Why not? Got a sort of chunky 13 count. If he passed South, then there are some players who would open the West hand, and in the last match Forrester had such a hand and he opted not to open it. And Peter Crouch was telling us that Robson would probably have opened that hand, even though Forrester doesn't tend to go for borderline 11 counts when vulnerable. But I mean, I would regard it as pretty shocking to open the West hand vulnerable against not in the 3rd seat. But probably I'm a bit old-fashioned in that regard.
with the light opening style, it's all about understanding what your partnership is willing to open and being very disciplined in not either under or overbidding once partners passed. So for instance, if East were non-vulnerable, then West he can expect at most 10 high card points. But if East were vulnerable, as here, then then West had some duty to protect.
What tends to happen is when the responder's got 13 points, he's not going to start worrying about the fact that my partner might have 10 or 11. They tend to go into game anyway, because even in the case where partner has some dodgy 11 count, you're probably going to have some play for it, and you may make 3 no trumps, and you've got a juicy game bonus if you do. So I can't imagine that North will stop short of game. He may be playing some sort of transfer scheme, in which case one spade would deny 4 cards in either major. Yep, well, he's gone to game.
So there's
Seems
quite little play here on a spade lead.
Yes, declarer has to clear the diamonds, and at that stage he'll have 2 aces and 3 spades to lose.
At team matches, it can be quite important to know your opponents as well, and not necessarily just the ones you're playing, but also the people at the other table. So as Liz is commenting in the text commentary, it's impossible to avoid this 23 high card point, 3 no trumps. And indeed, it's going to be a push.
That's right, I've just looked at the bidding at the other table, and South did open a club. And then the auction was natural. A diamond raised to 2 diamonds, 2 spades, 2 no trumps to show the heart stopper, 3 no trumps. So, you know, it may look bad when you get into this no-play game, but I mean, at least it's a flat board, and often you can get good scores by opening light. There was one very annoying hand against for England against Australia, where West opened light and East responded light. And now the opponents had a bidding misunderstanding, so they had no idea what was going on, and the bidding went up and up and up and up, and eventually they ended in 6 hearts, which had been pretty well bid at the other table. They only got to it because one of them thought that the heart bid was agreeing spades and so on, and they went on bidding hearts and spades. Forrester, in fact, doubled to try and frighten them back into spades, where he could diagnose there would be a heart ruff on lead. So we ended up losing 6 cents after those tactics that had apparently worked so well. So Robson hasn't taken the trick yet. I mean, the hold-up would be pointless in terms of communications, but he's just thinking about it. Another reason, in general, why you might hold up is if you needed a signal from your partner to know what to do next, but that wasn't a problem on this hand.
How about vulnerable this time?
Right, there is one interesting situation that USA 2 are hoping to leap, I say, from 9th to 8th, in other words, to get into the qualifying positions, and currently Canada are 8th. And Canada, in their final match, are facing USA 1, who have already qualified for sure, and are in fact beating USA 1 at the moment. So if USA 1 can come good and turn that match round, then it's just possible they would allow their comrades USA 2 to hop into 8th place. The positions 4 through 7 are just covered by a mere 4 victory points, so I mean they can all change places just within the span of a single part score swing. Mentioned before that Michael Michael Rosenberg suggests that you should always respond to a 1 bid, and many players might have bid a spade on Forrester's hand. First time I saw this sort of response, I couldn't really understand it, and kept on thinking, well, why don't they get too high if they respond on 2 counts and so on? And occasionally when I was commentating alongside Michael Rosenberg, I said, well, why do you recommend that? Why is it a good idea? And he kept on saying, oh, well, it's too complicated to explain or something. And I thought, what, does he think I'm an idiot and I won't understand it or what? Why can't he explain it? I asked him to. But eventually I did, and basically, I mean, there were all sorts of reasons for doing it. I mean, one of them is that the opener may have a really, really strong hand. You know, just because he hadn't opened 2 clubs doesn't mean he may have a good hand, but that doesn't happen very often. So just as often you're going to make life much more difficult for the opponents to discover that they've got a game on. If you open on a 12 count and respond on a 2 count, that leaves the opponents with 26, and if both of you have bid, it's very, very difficult to know that, to work out that you've got 26 points. You know, if someone overcalls, they may have just a good suit they want to mention. If they're bidding at the 1 level, and they might be overcalling on an 8 count, so you don't know that game's on if you have sort of 11 or so opposite. That's all part of the modern game, to diagnose if you do have a game when they're both bidding away on a load of rubbish.
There was a good play there where you noticed that Declared dropped the 10 under the high spade. This gives them the most opportunity to take a spade finesse should they need it. Of course, the heart's going to run now. It's generally just good practice to discard blocking cards, even if it doesn't matter later in the contract.
We mentioned that Japan and Poland, 2 of the teams hoping for a top 8 spot, are facing each other, and Poland are getting very much the better of that match, as one would expect on paper. Japan did remarkably well to occupy positions such as third or fourth earlier in the event. And that means that Japan are dropping out of contention, and it's really USA 2 who are hoping to get into the top 8. And that will be possible, particularly if USA 1 can help them a bit by turning their match round. Three teams are going miles ahead now, and that's USA 1, Monaco and Italy, everyone's pre-tournament favourites. Because those three are so strong, there is in fact more benefit than normal to grab the fourth spot, because that prevents you having to face any of those top three teams in the quarter-finals. Doesn't make much difference that you're going to end up with the strongest of the teams in position 5 to 8 by coming fourth, a position currently occupied by the Netherlands. Then you will avoid being picked by 1, 2 or 3. So as an England supporter, I'm pleased to see that England are 11 imps up or so with England women in a very tricky final encounter with France. Those are the two teams lying 7th and 8th in the women's event, and they could possibly drop out of the qualifying places if one of them loses by a big margin. They've played 7 boards, and England have made a good start against very strong opponents there.
Although very little play now at expert level, we can see that actually 3 no trumps from the south hand is pretty good. And may depend less on the hard cast. Anyone
yes, the
on
only
the show what the alerts are? Looking at note 5 of their convention card, it appears that 2 no trumps is game forcing in competition, which seems a little light, but
Well, the fact that North has made a cubit of 4 diamonds means that he is expecting to play in hearts. His partner must have shown some tolerance for hearts, and he's bidding 4 diamonds just in case his partner's got a hand where he's interested in the slam. It's difficult to say whether 3 no trumps is better than 4 hearts. I mean, you've got prospects of a double stop in both the black suits if you play in no trumps, but on a club lead, knocking out one of the stoppers, you can't lose a heart trick to East, or you might lose too many tricks.
If I've read the convention card correctly, I guess North is expecting a little bit more from the South hand. South doesn't want to bid beyond 4 hearts.
Well, 2 no trumps, as you say, the convention card says that that's forcing to game, and we can see that 3 clubs is not a natural bid of any sort. So 2 no trumps must have been a relay to find out more information. If 3 no trumps was natural, then 4 diamonds seems rather a hopeful effort in terms of looking for a slam, but anyway, they know what they're doing. They've played together for many, many years, these two.
The player should unblock diamonds here, and then use the heart entry to pitch your black card. A club. Wouldn't have bid to know at the 9 of hearts, huh?
At the other table, South simpler view, it again began a heart, a spade, and there's 2 spades, which agreed hearts. West doubled, which must have said that he didn't want a spade lead. In standard bidding it says you do want a spade lead, but some people invert it. And North just went straight to 4 hearts, so the auction was shorter. In the women's event, Japan are playing against the host team, Indonesia, and winning very well in that match, putting on some strong challenge from 9th place to overtake either England or France for a valuable qualifying position. Of course, we expect the websites to be world-class in a World Championship, and indeed are here, so congratulations to the local authorities who were no doubt responsible for getting a really good website up with all the information at everyone's fingertips. Whether they got that expertise from elsewhere or did it themselves, well done.
For the auction here, 1 club could be short, and 3 diamonds is invitational, natural. And North seems a little bit conservative to not make a try, but has probably seen his partner's bits before. And it's a bad shape, and you need partner to have good control cards to make slam good.
At the other table, North opened 2 no trumps. How many points has he got? He's got 19 and 2 tens. And South used a method where you transfer at the 4 level 2 below your suit to show a long suit and a slam try. So South did 4 diamonds, 4 spades rather, to show that he had 6 diamonds. Now the North hand was reasonably useful for diamonds, so he bid 5 conventional 5 clubs, and South very reasonably just bid 5 diamonds. Now, only didn't have that much of a hand, only a mild slam try, 10 points with a singleton jack. This was a pretty difficult. Well, they're missing 2 aces, obviously, yeah, so that was the correct auction. They managed to make 12 tricks, however. Let's see how that happened. Must have been first round of spade ducked. I'll just have a look. Yes, Declarer led a low spade from dummy, and East didn't put in the ace, so the singleton jack won. So. If you ever want to look at the bidding or play at a board on the other table, you just go to My Results on the right hand of the screen. Click on the tab Other Table, and you see the whole scorecard at the top. You can choose any board from those listed there, and then just observe the auction in the table top right, or click through the cards one at a time to see how the play went. This rebid of 2 no trumps using bog standard English methods shows 23 to 24. In the USA, they tend to open 2 no trumps on only the range 20 to 21. So the going bar 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, 2 no trumps is 22 to 24. They prefer to take the 1 point extra range, or maybe it's 22, 20, and they go 3 no trumps on 24. Anyway, slight difference, but I've...
To clarify, 20 to 21 is very standard in the US, and in expert circles, I suppose, Cookish relay system to distinguish the 22 to 24 and or 25 plus. So the slow route of 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, 2 hearts, 2 spades, 2 no trumps to show the big hand.
Yes, but how much does the rebid of 2 no trumps show?
Usually 22 to 24.
Right. So they have a 2-point range, well, a 3-point range, you can say, clubs, 2 diamonds, 2 no trumps, and that restricts the more common 2 no trump opening range to a more accurate 2 points. Yeah, well, it makes very little difference, but it may be a good idea. Well, North has made a lead directing double of 3 diamonds, pretty borderline on Queen 7 5th, but anyway, stops. It tells his partner he's got no help available in either black suit, so he can bring a black suit. No reason for about diamonds if he's thinking of playing in that. No, he's decided to suit. Forrester has a load of controls in diamonds. Going to be safe if they get to 5 clubs. Looks like it.
I think clubs is actually quite a good contract. Once you pass 3 no trumps, 4 hearts is a little bit thin. Like you point, there's some evaluation here about whether the Singleton King of Diamonds is a good card. If Andy is looking at, say, King Queen Fifth of hearts, and the Singleton Bell, now the lead directing does a huge hand. I've always thought it's very dangerous to make lead directing doubles in these very, very strong options when
Oh wow, he's gone to 6 clubs, yeah. Well, I mean, it could have been so much better if Forrester had the ace of spades, say, instead of King, Queen, Jack. Then Watson's aid would have vanished, and I mean his partner had more forced almost a game opposite nothing, and Robson's got a pretty shapely hand. And I can't say that the King of Diamonds can be discounted because, as I say, if partner had the ace of spades, there would be a useful discard coming on the ace, and the 4 diamonds showed the ace of diamonds. So let's see the end of it making. Yes, they're suggesting that the ace of spades lead would set up 3 discards, 3 heart discards, two on the spades ones. Yes, and then if does South have to switch then to break up a red suit squeeze? See if he played say ace and another spade, then the run of the clubs might and then cash the clubs ending in the west hand. North would be squeezed op of hearts. Ace 1 of hearts opposite the Queen 1, but a heart switch would break it up. I hear they're in 6 clubs next door as well, so that'll be interesting. Well, South knows that ace of spades, right, there we go. Now he has to switch to the Jack of hearts. And he knows that East has the ace of diamonds, so it'd be pretty foolish to switch to a diamond. Wow, he's played another spade. At the other table, West is playing, so there was a sea of trade tricks. so it can't possibly be made at the other table, but now we can be pretty sure Forrester will make it. What other option? On some hands you would have to cash the ace of hearts to free up the queen as a menace, but that's exactly what you don't want to do here. That's the suit where you will have your threat with an entry, and ace 1 opposite queen 1 is the threat against the king with north. You can already know that he's got the queen of diamonds from his double of 3 diamonds. So Forrester will...
And as you say, there's just no other way to play it.
Well, it's possible if he bears the king of hearts, but no, but you're going to see it. Right, the trumps are drawn, so now he clears the ace of diamonds and the queen jack of spades out of the way. And one can say, even though of course he's played it competently and it was a bit lucky they went round, and certainly it was put it down to a defensive mistake by South not finding the heart switch to break up the squeeze, but still it's a very, very lucky swing because it's a shocking slam.
I think the count should be fairly clear. North gave a attitude signal, but West seems to be 5-5, and if he had 3 spades and therefore a spade ruff was coming, that means, well, there's void and diamonds. So
yeah,
is that a reasonable layout?
West is the dummy.
Oh, I'm sorry, that makes it much worse.
Right, well, we certainly expected no less from Forrester to perform what is rather ungenerously called a simple squeeze. It would be fairer if it was called a single squeeze to match double squeeze. And otherwise, people who find any sort of squeeze pretty difficult, as indeed it often is, wouldn't be insulted by it being called a simple squeeze. Anyway, we expected him to make it, and that will be a big swing.
I like that name a lot, actually, David. Single squeeze? Yeah, let's change it.
Right, well, that's interesting, isn't it? West has had to start with a double on his good hand, and Forrester has an absolutely mighty diamond suit. But it is enough to make 6 diamonds.
I think South's 2 hearts is ostensibly into 10-12.
Yeah, well, I'm very happy with that. He's only bid 5, yes. Well, obviously Robson is... I think he's 6 diamonds now. I bet he may. He's got all those top cards. He knows his partner's got a huge diamond suit.
You have about 4 more quick tricks than you promised.
Yes, I mean, a lot of players would be put off by the singleton jack, but I mean, he's gone straight to 5 diamonds, so what on earth diamond suit's he going to have?
I think a singleton jack is quite golden in this auction.
Could easily be. So we're predicting here. Both commentators are quite willing to look foolish if Robson doesn't, if Robson passes. You know, of course, it's easy when you can see all the hands to say, oh yes, he should bid 6 diamonds, just because we can see that East has got a good diamond suit. But I'm not saying it for that reason now. It's just pretty obvious. You know, Robson might have had in terms of aces and kings, even if he did have another couple of diamonds or something. With all those top tricks, I mean, his partner's going to have 7 diamonds, so even if he's got king, queen to 7, the trump suit may be okay. I'm absolutely certain Robson is going to bid 6 diamonds. He may even bid 5 hearts. Is that right? No, he can't expect the trump suit to be solid. 6 diamonds just seems right. Meanwhile, Declarer must be struggling.
I will comment that for me, I've found that with whoever partnering, it's really, really hard to bid over game and partner bidding. You really need something a bit special for your hand, but this hand is just so big.
Yeah, we expected him to do it, and yes, my friends, he's done it. Hooray, well done.
This is another quite impressive set by England. Been very impressed in the past few days.
It's been lucky for me because I was away on holiday while they were performing the up and down, and they had some day, I can't remember when it was, probably last Tuesday, certainly a Black Tuesday or a Black Wednesday, where they played 3 pretty teams down the bottom, and for some reason or other didn't make the most of it. But since I came back from holiday, benefiting from my support, which is, even though I'm sort of half a world away in England, they've just played wonderfully well. Six clubs went 2 off, in fact, at the other table, so that's a huge 17 in swing. Combination of luck and skill, which is what you need to do well at bridge. Well, the leaderboard hasn't yet reflected board 10, let alone possible further good news on 11, although I think it's very likely Germany will bid that one. That will be the Jacobi 2 no trumps. Most players use that to show at least game values in spades with 4 or more support. And the two-note trump bid itself is fairly useless unless you have a good set of rebids on the west hand, in particular some weighing. I've opened with a minimum hand. I mean, you look it up in beginners' books and they say, oh yeah, we should show his singleton at the 3 level or rebid another suit at the 4 level. How useless is that? If you might have 11 points, you might have 18. How does that help the responder? So it's absolutely essential that both hands can give some indication of strength after you've bid two-note trumps. Two-note trumps saves bidding space, and you have to use it in some helpful way. Here Robson's gone straight to the game that they were forced to by fast arrival. That implies a minimum hand, and they've stopped safely. Since they have a trump and 2 diamonds to lose, looks like it may actually go off.
Isn't Declarer going to pitch his losing diamond now?
Yes.
I don't really understand the switch and how it's encouraged in diamonds.
Well, he's worried about setting up queen for a hearts card.
I think South is thinking, I don't have a more encouraging card than the 2. The 3, rather.
Why should he want to encourage diamonds? They play reverse attitude, are you saying, on an ace lead? I mean, from South's point of view, his partner might have the king of hearts, and continuing diamonds might set up a discard of the 9 of hearts on the queen of diamonds. Well, amazingly, I've just been told that Monaco, Netherlands, first of all, it's amazing that the game has finished, and secondly, the final score after 16 boards was only 60 to the Netherlands. Incredibly low number of imps, which normally is a very high standard of bridge, and in this case certainly will have done with 2 strong hands playing. 2 strong teams playing, sorry. Well, the leaderboard table at the site is continuing to refuse to register the 17 imps. On board 10, they only give a score after 9 boards, but once that score goes in, they're going to jump into 4th place again, because there's a huge clutch of teams only with about 1 or 2 victory points sharing those places. So, as far as I can see, although North may have allowed this game to make, I'm not inclined to blame him at all for his defence, because he didn't know that West would have the ace-king of hearts. He'd signed off to show a minimum, and from North's point of view, he might have had the king-queen of trumps. and he's known to hold the Queen of South discouraging in diamonds. I don't have the card. So, well, Peter Crouch that South should have, because he didn't have, I don't agree with that, because North might hold the King of Hearts, in which case, again, you wouldn't want to set up West Queen of Diamonds for a heart discard. So did Forrest want the finesse of the Queen of Clubs to win? No, he did not, because that would mean that the trick he'd been given in the red suits wouldn't have produced a game swing. So I'm told that the link has crashed in the closed room. So we've no idea, I haven't any idea anyway, what happens, what the bidding was on the hand where Robson raised 5 diamonds to 6 on single jack. We'll find out in due course. Well, it seems, in fact, not that North can possibly guess it, that passing out a spade doubled because his partner's got King 10x and they've got plenty of side suit tricks to take. But I mean, that would have been an absurd judgment to make, so won no trump, perfectly sensible. Wow! Forrest bid again. Well, anyway, they can at least make game their way 600, so even if he were to say go for 800, that's only would be 5 inches away. Risky bid there, I'm surprised again. I mean, South does have the chance to double now, but on the other hand, it's less attractive because he knows that 3 no trumps will be very. He knows his partner's got 4 spades, and he may be worried that Forrester's got 7, and that it might only. He may think that Forrester's got his bid. In other words, he doesn't think Forrester's got his bid. He's doubled. Well, the time to make such doubles is when you've got a little bit extra beyond what you need to make game, because although you know that you could have made 600, you're 630, but it may add on another 300 to the penalty you can make. So now Forrester may be wondering, well, maybe I shouldn't have bid 2 spades. I must say, I can't see much point in you know, why should not defend 1 no trump, right? Why should, we'll see. So now, yeah, there you go. Right, 6 diamonds was a flat board. as we would expect. The crash happened in the middle of the auction, so the operator may not have time to reinstate all the bids for the view graph record. So now USA 2 are only 5 victory points behind Canada. USA 2 in 9th place, trying to over Canada to move into 8th place. USA 2 are something like 18 behind England, who are temporarily in 4th place, which they may lose if this goes for a bundle. How much more can they take? They can take 2 diamonds and the 3 trumps taken separately. That will be 7, 8. Rather a lot of tricks. Gosh, well, does that come to a most horrible 1100? If so, I'm not going to say it was in the least bit unlucky. That was a very dodgy 2 spade bid, as I see it.
David, what do you think? Do you think West run, or at least consider it?
I think it would be unbelievably appalling for West to run. Absolutely shocking. He's got to trust his partner. Apart from anything else, you're going to 3 level, so you've got no guarantee of a diamond fit, and then when you go to the 3 level, you've got to make 2 tricks more than your partner would have done in spades for it to pay off. If you only make 1 trick more, you're back where you started because you're playing at the 3 level. So I don't believe he would consider it for a split second. Right. Well, you know, I admire these players as much as anyone there, but that was a thoroughly well-deserved 100 as I see it. Don't understand the point of it at all. I mean, why risk 1100 on what might be? Why risk even 500 on what might be a part score hand? Right. Fortunately, England did defeat that four spades that was let through when North had a tricky decision whether to cash the king of diamonds. So I'll just have a look and see how the ink pairs end. Well, North cashed one diamond and then switched to a heart.
For those interested, it's getting very tight in the 8/9 spot. Very, very close. USA have done about as much as they can beating up against their opponents, and it's really up to USA 1 to put USA 2 through.
Right, no, I was totally foolish a moment ago. When I said that North switched to a heart, I was foolishly replaying the play at this table. At the other table, she defended perfectly. He cashed the ace-king of diamonds to put it one down. So, well defended indeed.
I think the key on that hand is that club return can never be right, because if you have a club trick, you always have a club trick. But it's possible that the heart switch might be, but I think from South's perspective, they have the king of spades, which says that, yeah, we need to just wait. We need to get our diamond trick before it goes away.
Well, as I've already said, I don't take that view, because North might have had the king of hearts. I mean, South, all South can do is just show what he's got in diamonds to let North know that it'll be risky to carry on playing diamonds, and then North can judge what may happen. I mean, I don't really see how how North can tell what to do, but anyway, there we go. In any case, regardless of that particular hand, it's a key point of all signalling, that what you do is you tell your partner what you have in your hand. Your signal in this case would just mean, I haven't got anything good in diamonds. And it's then up to your partner to judge what he should do next. So signals and discards are never a command to tell your partner what to do. That would be impertinent. You don't know what cards he's got. You should just tell him as much as you can about your hand, and then he adds that information to the pool of facts available to him, including all the cards he's got, and then decides how best to defend. At the moment, I mean, all I can see is that South just warns North that the Queen of Diamonds is with West, and if North then has the King of Hearts, he will know that it's dangerous to cash the other diamonds, but of course he go away on the clubs. Who knows? That's another factor. I mean, if Declare has the King of Clubs, he will take the cards on club suit. At the other table, Peter Crouch tells me that Gold did in fact play an encouraging card on the diamond lead, and that may have helped GABSI to to catch the diamond. But still, that was somewhat of a guess in case it might set up a discard for one of the hearts, but in any case that might be going on the clubs eventually. So it's not a precise science. Defending, if we didn't know it before, that hand can be very difficult.
Absolutely agree with you there, and I also fully agree with helping your partner out. And you both have your judgment as to what's the best defense.
Right, USA 2 are absolutely smashing India. They're up to 19 point something victory points, practically a maximum, and they've almost caught the team in 8th place, Canada. 1.2 behind, someone's telling me. They mean victory points, I think. But it's going to depend largely on what happens to Canada now, because USA 2 have done their bit. They've scored a maximum or a near maximum, and everything will depend on the match that Canada are playing. And they won. That's very narrow, and it's 11 point something against 8 point something in victory points. So that can easily swing. If USA 1 get one game swing, then that will comes in to 8th place, very likely.
On the hand we just saw, where West played 3 clubs in the USA, one of the rooms, North-South has got a disastrous double, so looking good for Canada actually.
Here, 1 diamond is a transfer hearts. Double is a take out of clubs and hearts. South has got spades and diamonds on a passed hand. And West's rebid of 2 hearts shows a minimum with 4 card support. If West had only 3 hearts, he would 1 heart. So East has already shown 4 hearts. He knows there's a 4-4 fit. Now he suggests that perhaps Robson might like to play in 3 no trumps. And with 2 low spades, it seems unlikely that Robson would like to play in 3 no trumps. Let's see. Robson has a solid 7 loser hand, which isn't always the case when you open balanced 11 counts, even balanced 12 counts. So his hand is good for playing in hearts, and I expect him to go to 4 hearts now. Yes, well, I'd be wrong.
The commentator's curse strikes again. There are 11 tricks with this very favorable layout in either hearts or no trumps.
Yes, you can see, in fact, I mean, there are layouts that 3 trumps might make when the hearts are breaking 4-1. If you had 2, you might lose 2 hearts and 2 spades, and the chance of losing 5 spades off the top is not big. You know, you've got the guy on lead's got to have ace jack to 5, and he might not have doubled a diamond if he had ace jack to 5 spades.
There's also a positional aspect here where West doesn't really know what kind of spades East had. For instance, they might have King third or something like that, or even King Jack third, where it looks much more favorable to play 3 trumps on the East side. But I would have played 4 hearts, simple so.
Yes, the unbid suits were diamonds and spades, and Robson had a whacking great ace-queen of diamonds, and he was expecting Forrester to hold only the king there. So Robson would have expected on this bidding that Forrester had a lot more than Queen 10x in spades.
I think the option also possibly suggests heart weakness in East hand, which he doesn't. And West looking at King empty 4, very reasonably passes 3 no trumps.
Yes, well, Robin is not only a brilliant player all round, he's got several other very valuable aspects. First of all, he's a really nice guy and will chat pleasantly to absolutely anyone. And finally, he's a fine bridge teacher and runs the most successful bridge club come bridge school in Britain, in London, with about 3,000 members, and he runs it in very friendly fashion. I think he chucks away the director and alert cards, the director cards from all the bidding boxes, and they just play a friendly game, and all his adore him, buy all his books in huge numbers. Thoroughly good guy. Forrester used to be a complete ogre at the table, but he too now, some sort of magic from we know not where, I'm assured he's a thoroughly good guy as well. Sort of like 48 boards in the Gold Cup and said, well, Forrester's a changed man. He was absolutely pleasant to everyone, really. So that's pretty good, isn't it? A little bit similar to me. I was really unpleasant when I was young, and I've gradually mellowed. Even my worries are not so bad now.
Just to do a little bit of further advertising, my favorite bridge book at the moment, and maybe always, is Robson Siegel's Competitive Bidding Partnership book, which I think is essential for anyone looking to advance their competitive bidding skills. It's super, a little bit difficult, but well worth the effort for anyone looking to get beyond, say, advanced level.
I agree with you off of that. It speaks a tremendous amount of good sense. Unfortunately, it's twice as long as it should be. It's about 400 pages long. So, brilliant as the content is, they needed an editor who would have told them, well, this is much too long, and it should have been about half the length. But anyway, as you say, any good player would learn an enormous amount by reading that book, which is pretty old now, maybe 20, 30 years old.
Yeah, I think it came out in the late 90s, and indeed it's not an easy read. He's a busy guy, but if he did some updating or, as you say, clear editing, it would be more accessible. But really, the content is very, very good. And it's the kind of things that actually are in company pretty much 20 times a session.
Right, well, back to this match. We've whizzed through the last few boards. I think I was chatting over the whole land, so apologies for that if there was any interest. And we've come through to the last board, so the first thing we all want to do is to say many thanks indeed to the view graph operator, someone who acts silently in the background to make sure we can all enjoy these matches. It's a thankless task, very, very hard work. Players are playing their cards, flipping them over, and somehow they've got to see every card and enter it all, get it all right, not make any mistakes. Totally impossible for me to do such a job. I'd get a headache after a couple of hands and retire hurt to the sideline. So many thanks not only to this operator but all the other ones who've been doing so well for us. And many thanks to Yuan, who's been a very pleasant co-commentator with me. We've not met before, but we've got along fine together. It's been good fun. Hope you've all enjoyed this match and what's happening on this last hand. South's 2 no trumps, obviously agreeing hearts.
I think the 2 no must be slightly different to what they have on the convention card. Given white openings, I can't believe this is a game force. But on the previous hand as well, it looked like a three-piece raise.
Yes, a bid like that takes up so much space that it wouldn't make sense for it to be a general force. It must be agreeing hearts, and North is making just one slam try. For clubs, hearts is already agreed, so he's showing a club control and saying he has a pretty good hand in case South has anything to spare. South has got nothing to spare at all. 3 low in the suit that the opponents have bid. Just a 9 count. He doesn't, you see this is instruction away, he's got the ace of diamonds, he could easily cubit it, but he doesn't cubit it because his hand is weak in roll. It has past 2 meanings, to say you've got a control in the suit and to say that you're interested in a slam as well. What's the point of showing a control if you're not interested in a slam? Quite rightly, he signs off. Having said that, I'll probably find out the slam's cold. No, it's not right. Okay. Most English players would lead the king from ace-king here to get an ask partner for a count signal, and the ace would be asking for an attitude signal.
So again, being slightly contrary to David, but just to give you a slight different viewpoint, 4 game, 3 low in the opponent's suit is just horrible. But I actually really like it for slam. It's what I call a reverse splinter. As long as you can picture in your partner's hand the possibility of their holding a singleton spade, then suddenly the deck becomes a 30-point deck. And actually your hand isn't so bad. Partners cubit club, so if they can assume you can have such a bad hand, they have slam interest. And so I will admit I would have bid diamonds as a small offer, showing my reverse splinter, as it were.
Well, yeah, the all can stop spade, so whether you cube it or not depends on how much you've got in the suits outside spades. I agree with you that the 3 spades is good because he can know that his partner's got a singleton spade. A question of whether ace and queen, queen, jack is enough to bid for diamonds. And if partner had the diamonds instead of the queen, then you might well have been able to. Yeah, you would have been able to make a slam. So on that basis, I'm agreeing with you now that 4 diamonds was okay. In fact, it's a good general rule that you should show an ace below the game level when partner is still unlimited. And why should he not have the king of diamonds? If you don't cubit the ace of diamonds, the North would then think that you had losers in spades and diamonds. So I agree with you on that.
For instance, again on this good for game for slam purposes, South could easily have had, say, the king of spades, which is quite a wasted value for slam purposes, but a good control for game if your diamond control is a little bit weak.
If South does bid 4 diamonds, then North may think that the only well, I don't know. What's North going to do? Still worried about there being a diamond loser.
Yeah, I think North will just bid 4 of the major probably. They've made their slam try, and they still have some doubt. And I think they would still play 4 hearts, but as you say, there are hands where, say, the North has the king of diamonds, then its slam is excellent.
Yes, that all sounds very sensible. So, thanks for watching everyone. Now we can jump across now to one of the tables where the action is running. Probably Canada against USA 1 will be the best one. Thanks for watching.